This is the Nerdy Romantics Podcast, and I'm your host, Y.M. Nelson. Hello, Nerdy Romantics. This episode is about you, season 4. We've talked about previously on the podcast, we talked you seasons 1 through 3. And I said in that episode that we decided to do this not because it was nerdy or because it was romantic, but because a bunch of people were talking about it. And in a twisted, weird sort of way, it might be considered romantic because Joe thinks he's in love. But You season 4 has taken a serious turn. So this may be our last conversation about you on this podcast, but we'll see. With me today, I have Dana, Staci, and Marcie. How y'all
Hello.
doing?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
So, ladies, let's just get right into it, talking about you. Before we do that, though, I do want to make sure everybody knows this episode contains spoilers. Okay, spoiler alert, everybody. So if you have not watched You and you don't want to be spoiled, because some of these spoilers are big doozy spoilers, I'm sure. So if you have not watched, please turn this off right now. Go and watch it. Both part 1 and part 2 are out as of this recording. So you can watch the whole season and then you can come back and listen to what we've got to say about this. Okay, so everybody, You season 4. Before we start arguing about this, or maybe not arguing, but before we start venting about this, because I know that will happen, what did we think going into this? And I'll start with Marcie, but we may all end up chiming in on this one. So, Marcie, before the season really started, what did you think going into this?
I feel like once I realized and all the conversation started centering around this being the last season, I was kind of interested to see how they were going to wrap things up. So I don't know that I had a lot of preconceived notions. I don't watch spoilers. So everything that I found out about this last season, I found watching it. So I didn't watch any spoilers beforehand, no previews, no trailers. So I just went into it knowing last season and something is different. So that's all I knew at the beginning, and I was interested to see how they were going to wrap things up. So
Okay.
so as to not give any more feedback yet, I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. Dana, how about you? What did you think before you started watching?
Okay, so this is interesting. It'll play into kind of when I talk about it later. First, I want to say that my feedback and comments are sponsored by Wikipedia as well as YouTube because I did not finish the show. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that going into it, there are two things. And so it's interesting kind of seeing this with what Marcie said. So I was under the impression going into it that there may be a season 5. So they were still talking about there may be a season 5 to this. So I didn't go into it thinking this was the last one. I was under the understanding there would be one more. I also went into it, and I think I discussed this with y'all before, where I had seen, I don't know if I actually saw part, I guess, of the interview or heard it, whatever. I don't remember. It's been a while. But basically, when Penn, I guess, was talking about this season and how it was going to be different, because he specifically asked not to do sex scenes anymore in the show, I was kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I thought it was interesting because he was talking about, I guess, how the director handled it. I don't know if it was director or writer, to be honest, but whoever, how they handled it, because he knew that he had contracted to do this series. And here he is asking, hey, I don't want to do any sex scenes for the camera. And so I think he had some concerns about how it would be handled, but he said, again, it may have been the writer, basically was like, okay. And then basically, it wasn't as big of a to do as I think he thought we probably all would have thought if we had gone back and said, hey, I know I signed up for this, but I want to change this. And the weird thing I thought about it when I heard that was, what sex scene? Because, and honestly, in 1 through 3, sex scenes were not, I'm sure they had some, but they did not stay in my mind. Like, it was not, if you asked me to name you a sex scene that happened in seasons 1 through 3, I could not, because I have no idea. So when I heard that, I was like, is that really a big deal? I mean, do we think of Joe and sex scenes? Do they really go together? Is that really? Because that's kind of not how, I think we talked about before. For me, anyway, Joe is not that typical attractive guy. We like Joe because we're in on his mind and hearing, whatever. So it's not like I'm thinking, oh, he's really hot, we want a bed scene. I don't know. Anyway, so going into it, that's about all. And I was like, okay, so this is the season before the last, and there are not going to be as many sex scenes that I didn't even know we were having in the first place.
Right. And actually, we're going to talk about that in relation to some other stuff in a little bit. I do have that as a topic to talk about. Staci, what did you think before you started watching this season? How did you feel going into it?
Well, I mean, I really was kind of not excited, but I was like, okay, I've been watching the series. Let's see. I was wondering how they want to do another season of it, of how they ended in the last one. Like, he has a perfect opportunity to end everything and be like, okay, good place to end. And then when I started watching this, I don't want to go into details on it, but before you hear about jumping the shark, and it's like he's been doing that for a while, and now he's like, I don't know what the heck he's jumping, but it was not. Well, I'll go into detail more on that. But initially, I really wanted to kind of see how they were going to finish it off, because I did think, like Marcie, this was the last season, until I just read something recently. I guess because of we've been watching a news feed on your Facebook and all that, saying about, oh, there's going to be a season 5.
I
I was
just read that too, Stacy, as Dana mentioned that she had heard something different, and I did some comparison. I did some quick Googling, and to my dismay, there's a season 5 scheduled for
And I'm like,
2024.
how? Oh, why? But
Oh boy,
overall,
okay.
I wasn't going to say that I was overly excited about it. I was more into it because I knew we were going to be talking about it. And as the season went on, the only good part was that we were going to talk.
Oh
So,
my.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say well, you know what? We can wait till later on, or I can go into how I felt about it.
Okay, so everybody, now that you've seen whatever part of it that you've seen, whether you've seen the whole thing or whether you've seen part or whether you've seen a recap, and no, I wish we were sponsored by YouTube and Wikipedia. Yes, YouTube, Wikipedia, give us money. But what do y'all think now?
Oh,
Now that it's,
Do I get
Stacy start off, everybody, just tell us now, what do you think of it?
okay, so now what I think of it, I had trouble finishing it. I really did, because when we said that we are going to do this episode, I was telling Marcia, she's like, "Oh, I gotta watch it," because I don't remember how it ended. Because I would turn it on and then walk away, and then I was like, "What's going on? Oh, do I want to go back?" And I had to rewatch like the last 2 or 3 episodes. So I went all the way to. If I can get to all that, and then I'm still don't care about the last 3 episodes, that's that's the last of the whole season to tie everything up, and I didn't care if it got tied up or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that to me just is a nutshell of what it was. I mean, it was just I didn't feel for the characters anymore. I mean, some of the some of the people like spoilers, the eat the rich killer. Some of the people he was killing, I was like, okay, I didn't like them either.
Right.
And overall trying to figure out who was it that was killing, and then we meet, was it Rhys? And
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, I liked Rhys for that antagonism. And then when you find out what Rhys really was, I was like, are you kidding me? That's when the shark was jumped. I found out who Rhys really was to his character. I mean, it really, I'm not saying it was disappointing. The whole season was disappointing. When I found that part, it was like, and I'm done. I started to get up from watching the show, because once we found out that Rhys wasn't Rhys, who we thought he was, and I just realized, like, I kind of checked out. Marianne, I felt for her, because just, I mean, she survived all that, and then I don't know, I might be, getting cups of coffee to make my own cup, it's for the fact that
Oh Lord.
every time you turned around, she was getting drunk from those coffee cups. I mean, every time. Don't drink anything. It's like, really?
See, now I gotta. Oh man, I wasn't
Buy your own
even
cup of
thinking.
coffee.
I wasn't even thinking about it like that.
I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. Every time she put that coffee cup down, she pick it back up and pass out.
Well, yeah, you're not supposed to pick your drink back up after you done put it down.
Dude, she like put it down to tie her shoe. It wasn't even like, I'm gonna leave it. Just every time she got that coffee cup, something happened.
Exactly. It's like, wow, couldn't you? Anyway.
I apparently didn't even make it that far.
Well, see, this is the thing about it, and it's funny, Staci, that you say, I didn't want to watch the last few episodes. I was like, this is dragging on in the first episodes. And when he met all the rich people, I was like, totally disgusted. I mean, because, these people are, well, they're not rich because I worked all of this and I got all of this money. It's rich because my family's rich, or because I have generational wealth and I really don't have any ambition or anything going on in my life, except for the one person that was actually doing something, and she was killing. So I'm like, it was
I agree with
dragging.
you,
And
Yvonne.
yeah.
I agree with you. And that's why I said
tell
I
me.
didn't even make it that far. I clearly I didn't even make it to as far as to notice a trend with the coffee cup. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was.
And see, and
I
the
think
thing
that was episode 8.
right. That's
Oh
episode
yeah, no,
8.
I never got that far.
So this is the thing about it. It dragged on, but however, I spent like a weekend and watched it. Well, not a whole weekend. I think it was over a couple of weekends or something like that. But I was like determined to just watch this in a big chunk. So I was like tuned out, like Staci, how you were saying you were tuned out in the last few episodes. You didn't really care who anybody was or what happened to them. I was tuned out in episodes probably 3 through like 6. Like I think 6 or 7, whenever they went out there to Hampsey, and they did that murder mystery thing. They did murder mystery kind of.
That was 4.
Okay, so I was sort of in it then, but then I was tuned out again until the end of episode 7, when we find out who Rhys Montrose really is. And so episode 8, I was like, that I was tuned back in, and then I didn't care anymore after that. So it's like I just watched like 3 episodes and I would have been fine.
Well, what I'm hearing is like we did not like the characters, right? We did not, And this is a big thing, right? A lot of times when you don't like the characters or you don't have any feelings towards them, that can ruin a show or a movie because I'm not invested. But the thing that's interesting to me, hearing everybody say basically I didn't really like those people, is I'm not sure that we like Beck or Love either. I didn't like Love. I thought she was a crazy nut job, and Beck was whiny. So I felt like that alone wasn't just
okay. So add to that it was draggy. So Yvonne was right.
Well,
It
no,
took
that's
a
what I was gonna say.
long time to introduce people I didn't care about. And then I had to sit and watch them breathe and stare at each other for very extended periods of time.
Yep.
I guess communicating silently, but I don't know. And so I think that's part of it. It was very windy. Then you got on top of that, they're trying to add in this layer of mystery about who's stalking Joe. And then and so I feel like they crammed a lot into the storyline, but they dragged it out. Like I felt like if it had been a strong 8 episodes, we all might have been more invested. Maybe
I don't know.
but maybe 7. But I feel like making it 10 was too many when the pace was so slow. In addition to characters we did not care about, in addition to the convoluted who's stalking Joe piece, any one of them would have been enough. But altogether, it was just shenanigans and slow shenanigans at that. Like it was just,
but that's where I
it was
think
too much.
They went wrong to me from the beginning of this. That's what I was going to say. It's not just that one thing. If we didn't care about them, the slowness. To me, the bigger picture, at least how I felt, was this is like when Kanye West decided to put out his gospel album, right? Which, by the way, my husband absolutely loved. I could not get with it because this is not the Kanye college dropout Kanye that I was planning to listen to or hear. So it wasn't my thing. And so for me, that was the biggest thing with you. It tried to go a whole different way from what these last 3 seasons, what we've read about in the books and everything. And it tried to be something different. I wonder if it was different and didn't have all those other seasons, if how we would feel, I have no idea. But going into it, it was so left from what I was expecting to see. It just started off I didn't care about Joe. I didn't care.
I feel like that was it. I don't care.
Yeah, I really have to agree with that. I mean, because when you say that you didn't care about the other characters, like the first girl, whoever her name is, in Love, I thought the first character, like you
her
said,
name
was
is Guinevere Beck.
Beck, yeah.
Guinevere Beck, okay. Whatever. And Love was crazy, but she was a crazy hot mess. And this is just mess. It's not the same kind of feeling that I had for the first one. And maybe it's because the first one he was honest with himself, like, okay, I don't need to stalk, but I'm stalking. And this one, he's not directed at he is directed at a woman, but not the same way. And it's just that whole who is stalking Joe kind of thing. Like, we're gonna flip the script and somebody's gonna stalk Joe. And I'm like, yeah, I really don't care.
No,
I didn't care.
Yeah.
The clues were stupid. It was wrapped up. When they got to the house, I said, you have got to be kidding me. Like, I honestly said that out loud when we got to the end of the episode and they were like, you didn't tell him? He doesn't know. And then she was like, I said, you have got to be kidding. You have got to be kidding me.
I mean, people have gotten caught with he's killed so many people and like he's gotten rid of. So there was no DNA. How? I didn't believe that he could get so far and not be on anybody's radar. Not no one's radar.
And the minute he is, he just kills them all.
And you telling me that it took a kid to, this college girl to look, he looks the same way as this. All he had was a beard. He didn't look that much. It wasn't like exactly. And not even like he colored, got a dye job. He just put a beard on and no one could recognize him.
Right.
And the fact that it took this megalazillionaire dude and he was the only dude who knew who he was. It was like, are you really kidding me right now?
And I feel like a horrible person because I didn't even like the girl who figured it out. Like when he messed up her life, I was like, well, that is unfortunate. But I couldn't even feel deeply about the fact that she ended up where she ended up,
Yeah.
how she ended up. Like I was like, huh. I mean, at
Initially,
some
I
point,
will say I wanted her to be something very early on. I don't know. I
mm-hmm,
just liked her initially and I wanted something, but nothing really to me came from that.
right.
So initially, I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this could be a very interesting character. And I think it fizzled out for me.
It did. 'Cause I was like, really? So she never said anything in her. They did the little thing
Right.
like,
And
and
then
she
she
never.
dragged that poor boy into it for no unknown reason. And
Yeah,
then
like he's dead for nothing.
he
Didn't even
dead for
catch him,
nothing.
and you go to jail for it. Damn.
And now you sitting in the jail rocking back and forth. Like it was a lot of I'm going to, in full disclosure, I got to episode 4, got to the end and said, you have got to be kidding me, and said, I no longer care. Then I said, for the sake of the podcast, I should at least see how it ended. So I didn't skip to 8. I skipped to 10. I watched 10 and said I was right not to care. And so I don't know that watching the ones in the middle would have changed my mind because I saw the end one, but it didn't make me, that last episode didn't make me want to run back and be like, okay, now I got to catch up and see how we got there. I didn't feel that, and I didn't feel that for any one of the characters in that last episode to try to see how they ended up where they ended up. None of that. I didn't feel any kind of way. It never made me want to go back and dig any deeper than I had already done. I said, oh, still don't care. I mean, it was painful, y'all.
It was a hard watch. I
It was a
mean,
hard watch. I
It,
mean,
it
I've
was.
Yes, it was.
never not cared about everybody. Like, I mean, at some point you're invested in one character. Like, man, I hope so and so makes it to the end. But at the end, I was like, if the castle blew up and everybody was in it, it
That
might
would
be
have been
justice.
fine.
You know what? Maybe, just maybe, I did feel bad to find out Marianne wasn't free like I thought she was. But that was probably the only piece that I was like, darn it. I'm sorry that part wasn't true. But other than that, I really
but
didn't.
she does get out. I mean,
The
I mean,
end
she
Yes,
gets
she
finally
her
does
back
did.
in
get
Exactly.
out.
something.
The fact that she
She
got
does.
out was probably the only thing I cared about at the end. I was
but
like,
let the
well,
other girl go to jail. She
well,
that girl didn't do that.
you can't take everybody, Stacey. You can't
I know you
sometimes.
can, because I mean,
Sometimes you can't
she's
take everybody.
probably grateful to get out and be like, okay, I'm free.
And
And
no
that girl
reminders
gonna
of
have.
what used to be, because you
Yeah.
let, because if you let her come with you, then you got to support her for the rest of her life, and she's the albatross around your neck. You just got to say, you know what, friend, jail might be the best place for you. I mean,
So
some some point.
I will say that I spent some time, like earlier as I mentioned, the sex scenes, so I paid more attention to those this time around. So initially they weren't kissing, there were no mouth to mouth things or whatever, but I felt, again, I have no idea what was going on in season 1 through 3 now, but I felt that the sex scenes that were in here, they felt like regular sex scenes. Like, I don't know, when he's like, I'm not doing, but with that, I was like, is there a stunt person? Long story short, I hated he ever said this. Only because I found myself looking at stuff that I really would never pay attention to. It had nothing to do with the show. Just because you said that, now I'm going to look for it, kind of thing. But I think I also didn't like the facial hair. Like, there were just things that made Joe attractive in the first 3 were not there. So that on top of somebody now, it was just nothing. There was like nothing saving it for me. I couldn't
Hey,
even
Dana,
go. What'd you say?
that's funny because I thought the facial hair was such a good look that when he shaved it in the
Oh,
last scene, I was
I was like, you
confused.
should
I
have
And then
looked.
was
I
like,
couldn't figure
yeah,
out why we
Joe is
thought he
back.
was attractive in the first one
First
where he
place,
No,
was barefaced. I was so
I'm
confused
sorry, but I
because
think a
I
man looks
love
like
the
a man
facial
with some
hair.
facial hair.
no.
Right. And then when he shaved it off, I thought he looked like an alien. Like he looked
So
disturbed. I was so confused.
with the facial hair, I thought he made a good professor. Without it, I think he makes a better stalker. So for me, I thought without the hair, I was like, because if you
Okay.
ever see guys have hair and they shave it off and they look like they try to be young and it just look weird, like I feel like that's more appropriate to the Joe that I like. The hair, I mean, he looked well put together and like he could be a legit professor somewhere. I'm not saying he didn't look good with it. It just didn't fit my Joe. I was like, yeah, no. So actually, it's funny you mentioned that. So when he shaved off, literally, I was like, oh, yay, he's back. And I was actually like, I didn't watch the last 3 episodes. So 7 was where I cut off. I did go and cheat on YouTube and Wikipedia to find out what happened. But I did, the fact that this is not going to be the last one, I'm actually happy about. We can just use this as a throwaway season because I'm excited about the fact that it looks like we're going to get the Joe that we fell in love with back for season 5. I'm hoping that they can redeem themselves. So I know Yvonne.
I mean, they
Yvonne, you
may
were like, we might not watch it, but I actually might watch it because I'm interested. Can we get it back?
And they may be able to get it back, because when you saw the last episode, the last scene in the last episode, when he's pouring coffee and he's seeing his reflection in the mirror, you're seeing Rhys, not him. And it's like, okay, he's going to go in, he's truly going to accept his craziness. Let's see what hijinks is going to ensue and see how that's going to go. So it may.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially
I'm
now
not
that
saying
he
that
has money to
Yeah.
hide his
Yes,
hijinks.
Right, because
exactly.
remember
He's
he
rich.
says, I've gotten better at it now, and with
Mhm.
this team behind me. So I do think
Right.
that that's one of the things that I think you're right, that maybe they're gonna lean into that again. He looked really weird though when he came and took her hand, and he had his hand on her knee, and he had that his face was tilted, and his eyes were doing something weird. I was like, I understand you're trying to give me creepy, but this is a whole different dysfunctionally creepy look that he has going on. And Joe is gonna land with a crazy woman with money. Don't know how he manages to do it. But for somebody that psychotic, he never seems to end up with a woman who's poor and crazy. He always manages to land with a rich, crazy woman who needs another crazy person to offset her crazy. And I don't know. I'm concerned that there are that many in the world because
Well,
he seems to find them.
He's got so
well,
many of them too. There's no
I
problem
think
getting
Right?
I think it's because she was poor and crazy, she'd be in jail. So he doesn't need poor and crazy, rich and crazy.
She
And
wouldn't have
that's
no
who and
PR team keep her out of jail. I see your point
keep her
there.
out. I mean, because like, was it love? She killed somebody. Her parents probably knew that.
And
Know
she
how
had a
crazy
Her
PR
parents
person.
and
did
she had
know that.
Yeah, they did.
killed the first babysitter and did something to her boyfriend. And like, we gonna cover up, baby. We got this. We covered up. Just bake your cookies and keep on going. But those are the only people who get away with it. I mean, and both, and I think those are only, to me, the people who can get away with it consistently. And I do have to agree with you now when he said that, Marcie's like, how many people? Because when they did the whole, at the end of it, they talk about all the people who are left. So like the was it Princess or Duchess? So the rich girl, the
Yeah.
Sophie. So she is the only one who actually was a good person and ended up being a teacher and teaching English in a different country, and nobody knows who she is, and she's living a great, useful life. But some of the others were all like, this person, they're horrible. This person, they spent only 9 days in rehab, and now they're back to, blowing coke up the butt. I mean, just everybody went horribly wrong. And one of them, what was it? The one that tried to kill Joe, like in episode 4, when he was was that the country? Episode 4?
Roll.
But wasn't that episode 4 when they were all in the country?
Exactly. Yeah, he was trying
And
to
Roll
was
gonna shoot him. It wasn't for a girl to come up there and kill a pheasant at that time, so was gonna shoot Joe. Well, and they did the whole little what everyone has done. He ended up shooting another friend while hunting again. And his family, and he said that, and his family covered it up, and they said that. So it's like, it makes you think now. You saying that, Marcia's like, how many accidental hunting accidents, sailing accidents have been happening, and people are like, yeah, it was an accident. To the face, to the head, that really was the accident.
By the same person?
And it's funny because didn't they make a joke about the accidental shooting of a former vice vice president did? Yes. Yeah, that was interesting to say the least.
I have a question. So speaking of, this made me think about it with what Staci said about the booty drugs. So there was one scene though that really caught me off guard, and I don't know, maybe it didn't catch y'all off guard, I don't know. But the scene, y'all remember when, I don't remember nobody's name, so whatever. The girl the fiance, I guess, or whatever, who was losing money. Him with, let's say, maybe it was a waiter, I don't know, in the back room. Do y'all know what I'm
that's
talking about?
that's Phoebe and Adam.
Okay, so
That's
Adam
Phoebe
was
and
back there. Adam was in the
Adam.
back
Yeah.
room with, I guess, a waiter. That I was not expecting that. I don't know. I was
I
like,
was
wow,
not
we should show
expecting
everything.
that.
I mean,
I was
I
not
kind of
expecting that
was.
either.
I
That's
wasn't
not what I
expecting it
thought
to
they
be
were
the
gonna do.
waiter,
That's
but
not
I
what I thought
was
they were gonna do.
I was expecting it to be someone because both of them had come to him talking about how they weren't sure about marrying the other person. So I was expecting that there was someone else, but in my mind, it was one of the other girls in the party because that's just what I was thinking of in terms of, the kind of circle they had. So I wasn't expecting it to be the waiter, but I was expecting that there was something not quite kosher in their relationship because both of them had way too many misgivings for it to be 100% legit.
Right, but did you expect that to be the
No,
like that's
like
the
I
part
said, no,
like,
I thought it was going to be one of the other girls.
yeah. Okay, so I thought,
And it's not just
I
another
didn't even
guy. I mean, he
care.
liked anything.
I didn't care it was a guy. It didn't even faze me. It
It
was
was
what
like,
they were
Yeah,
doing.
it's what they were doing. Yes,
That's not what
Well,
I thought
now
they were gonna
that
do.
I would have
because he
expected
said
that
in the
because they seem a
beginning.
little. This crowd seemed a little.
they
Yeah,
were not vanilla at all.
they.
They were
I would
like,
have
I
expected
need
some
to
level
take
of
it
kink.
to the next level on everything, and he
Right.
did.
Yeah.
He
So
did.
I wasn't surprised by what they were doing.
Oh,
I was
that
actually
caught me
surprised
off
by the who
guard.
because they
That's not
seem
what I
like
thought they were
people who
gonna
had
do.
that kind of kink. No
Yeah,
offense,
that, and I
but
mean,
they
when you
did.
went and when they went to the whole in the country talking about being the kings of the kingdom, and back in the olden days, you could do all this, and you hear the I'm on the top of the world, and then secret fantasy is being humiliated. And that to me, it seems like what he was all into was humiliation. Because when we saw that when he finally gets his comeuppance, he's being tied to a bed, and when those two guys, when the girl is doing all that, but then two guys come in, he doesn't say no. He's like, I like water-based lube. That's he was up for anything, it seemed.
Yeah,
I just thought we were
as
gonna
far
get
as the who, I think they even said that when he was going around, when Joe was going around and being introduced to all these people at the club, the Sundry House, his club, they said something to the effect of he likes everybody. I think they said the word pansexual, but I can't say that for sure. But yeah, it
I
wasn't
just thought,
necessarily the who, it was the what in
yeah.
that
Yeah,
particular scene
he was. He wanted to
I
be
thought we
in
flogged,
were
that
gonna
spanked,
get
kitchen.
peed
The
on,
scene in
whatever.
the
I
kitchen.
thought we were
I
gonna
didn't
get
expect
Monica.
that to happen.
I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna get Monica, and they gave me Robert. And I just didn't know that was gonna happen. And so that's why I was like, what? That's all.
Right?
The fact that they were all out, I could care less. That was probably the only stimulating thing in the whole show. I was like, what?
So
I'm
now
paying
that you
attention to.
yes, so now that you brought this up, Dana, so let's talk about this. And for me, I'm kind of correlating it to what you said earlier. So I noticed in this season, there's a lot of A, kink, and B, male nudity that
Yeah,
we have
Yeah,
not seen in other
forgot about that.
seasons.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it's because they are overcompensating for what you said earlier
Hmm.
about Joe, the actor who plays Joe, and the fact that he said that. But to me, I'm with you, Dana, that I don't remember seeing Joe having a lot of sex scenes.
I mean, I remember
Um,
the
I
first
don't really remember.
season, the first season with Beck, and I only remember it's because he came too fast. He was like, oh, you know, and that's why.
Oh,
And she was
yeah.
highly disappointed, and he was embarrassed, and that's why I remember that.
Okay.
And he made up for it the second time. And after that, it's like, other than that, I can't remember any of the sex scenes. And the only reason I remembered that first one is because she came too fast, and it was like, okay. And she was, that was it. That was why I remembered the sex scenes, those two. Out of
Yeah.
that, I don't remember any other part. I mean, I'm sure they did something else. I know they probably did, but nothing really sticks out to me too anymore, except for that. That's the only time I
Yeah.
remember really anything.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's
see, and I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit too, as in they feel like they have to one up the last season or the previous season before. So yeah, like that first season, the whole big kink, if you really call this a kink, I don't, but if the whole big kink was that Beck would masturbate with some pillow, that was like the whole kink thing. And in season two, it was just some crazy, I don't really even remember, but in season three, they had that whole orgy
It was the
that did not
swingers,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah, the whole swinger thing. And so maybe they feel like now they gotta up it even more in this season. I mean, these people are rich after all, so it's like they're doing what we think rich people do
And
with,
maybe they felt like they were
craziness.
compensating for him not doing whatever he said he wasn't going to do. And I'm with Dana that
Exactly.
I don't remember what that was. I will say this, even in comparison, the kink scenes versus the scenes with him and what's her name? It had me questioning
Hey,
again if
her
I
name is
know what chemistry looks like. Because I, again, I feel like I don't, because I didn't see any chemistry with him and her ever. And except for a bunch of heavy breathing and mulling of the eyes, I didn't ever feel like they had any kind of passion for each other. Maybe it's a refined thing that people of affluence are supposed to have. But what I'm gonna say is I didn't get it.
all
When I was,
and
I could tell that they actually wanted to be there together doing the thing. But it really had me questioning my understanding of what chemistry is, because I didn't see any, and I didn't see any during the interview. I didn't end up, and the reporter kept like nodding and winking at him, and I was like,
as an affluent member of
look
society,
like they
we
know
like
each
to just
other.
rub our bodies and not make any
And grab her
emotion.
by the
And
shin. When was the last time a man sat on the couch and grabbed you by your shin as a sign of affection? I was like, this is shenanigans again. And I might need to revisit whether I know what chemistry is, because I didn't see a lick of it. And
I didn't like
but you have to think. You have to think though, Marcie, is that remember she's kind of, well, you didn't see this part, but where she kind of explained herself, she's pretty much devoid of feeling. For all intents and purposes, she's pretty much like,
Yeah, she did.
they've been telling her not to cry for ages since she was a kid or whatever. So I'm thinking that she's pretty much kind of devoid of feeling, number one. And number two, she's a little bit of she has her little sociopathic kind of tendencies going on herself.
Well, she did talk about how her mother would punish her or whatever about do not show an emotion, I won't hug you, something like that, unless you keep it
Yeah.
together. And
Yes,
she mentions
exactly.
that
okay.
early. She mentions that like when they find out that her husband is dead or missing, and she's like, I can't even cry for
Yeah.
him. And there's a reason why is whatever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when my apathy must have kicked in. I don't remember, but
well,
I'm
then
sure
why
Well,
it
didn't
was
you
yeah,
show
they
important.
us?
just talked about it in those episodes, but they really talked about it in some other episodes that I don't think the episodes that they really talked about it that you saw, because those were also the episodes where we first meet her dad. Those were like in the middle of the season. They were I think, wasn't that after Hampsey? It was after they burned up the castle or whatever. So, they were really talking about the fact that she was apathetic. But in general, I agree, Marcie, there's no chemistry. I don't think there's actually chemistry between them. And maybe it was because it was just a more dire situation. Feel like he had more of a connection with Marianne, especially those like first episode where she's like, you gotta get out of here, I'm gonna call the police or something like that. When they were in the stairwell, he was showing more emotion with her than he was showing with Kate. And he's
Well,
supposed
yeah,
to
he
be
loved her though. I mean, if
Hmm.
that's even
he
possible.
did. He
So
did
I
sort
felt
of.
like he definitely had more. But yeah, I don't know. I like. So my thought is, if the sex scenes were going to be really just about showing how she doesn't have that much emotion, then one would have been fine because we don't need to continue to see. Like, who was that for? Because it didn't add anything to the show. And so I don't know, but I didn't like her character. And so maybe because I bailed out too. I'm along with Marcie. I bailed out after 7. So I didn't see the emotional trauma that she had as a child, other than when she mentioned it earlier about her husband. So I don't know, but I feel like it was just unnecessary. It just had me again, it just led to that. Why am I watching this?
Right?
Yeah.
Why am I sitting here? Whatever.
Well, for me, it was, I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to go back to kind of what you were saying earlier, Dana, about the why am I watching this and how it relates to a couple of characters. So for me, when I got disillusioned, it was when I saw he wasn't going to like take Nadia under his wing. That's the girl who was in his class. Like, I thought she was going to be that character. Because remember, we already have 3 seasons where they have a pattern going, and he always takes a younger person under his wing, helps that younger person out, even from a distance. And I didn't see that happen with Nadia. She was more like telling him about what a murder mystery, how you can write one, because that was his cover. And when I saw that the you was not, a love interest in the beginning, the you was like, I need to find you, this stalker who's killing people. Then I was disillusioned then too, because that's not the Joe that we know. So that's why I think we started not to care, is because the things that we liked about seasons 1 through 3, the fact that Joe is trying to fall in love, but he just keeps killing people, so it just doesn't work out. That kind of thing, that factor is not there. And then he doesn't have that other redeeming factor in that he's trying to help somebody out that's younger than him, that's may go the way that he went, try to help him out. So that's where I felt a little disillusioned. And as we all said, on top of that, when you put a bunch of rich people as supporting characters, disgusting rich people who are just rich and just, uh, just totally, I don't
God
know.
awful.
Yes, just awful. Just straight awful. So when you put this whole cast of characters on top of that, I'm just like, no, I want to check out. So that's kind of how I feel, kind of wrapping that whole thing up. But before we get off the whole sex scene thing, y'all, like I said, I noticed there was a lot of male nudity going on here. But one thing that I did not realize and that I looked up was a Prince Albert. I did not know that was a Prince Albert. And I went and I Googled it on an incognito window. A romance author, and I have no idea what a Prince Albert is, y'all. Okay, so did anybody else not know what that was, or am I the only one?
I knew what it was.
I've heard of it, but I don't recall seeing it in the show.
Yep, it
Was it when he was in the morgue? Not the morgue. When the guy was dead or whatever?
Yes.
Mhm.
Did he? Okay, I
He was
forgot about it.
disposing of the body.
Okay, yeah. Got you. I just didn't
Uh-huh.
remember.
And
I was too much
oh,
like, what?
right. I'm
Okay.
like, what?
It was a lot of shenanigans. It was
Mm.
just,
I
you
don't think there's
know,
anything wrong with not knowing that as a romance author, because I think that's a certain type of, maybe
That's a
that may not,
niche.
yeah, that may not
And,
be
and it's not
yeah,
something
it's
that I
not
write.
mainstream.
It's
right.
not
Yeah,
something
I
that
don't
I
think
write.
so
Yeah.
either. So yeah,
It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't know what this is. But it's also not something that I write. But that was just a little anecdote, and I was like, okay, well, at least something to keep me watching. But anyway, so The other big thing of this season is the character Rhys Montrose, which we've talked about a little bit so far. We've had one person say that they like them, and until we find out exactly the whole of who Rhys Montrose is in Joe's life. So, of course, I have two things that came to mind for me when we first meet Rhys Montrose. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert for anybody who watches Outlander. Spoiler alert. This same actor plays a really, really bad guy in Outlander. And I won't spoil it that much, but this guy plays a really, really, really bad guy in Outlander. And when I first saw him on the scene, I was like, and then they started talking about a killer. I immediately thought, Rhys Montrose, because I was like, he was a bad guy on Outlander. He was a bad guy on Outlander. And he's playing this slick bad guy too well, which is like how he was playing it on Outlander. And on Outlander, he was sort of crazy a little bit too. So I was getting Outlander vibes. So that was number one of that. But the second thing, when we actually find out the whole of who we're seeing as Rhys Montrose, the episode 7/episode 8, my first thought, of course, was Fight Club.
Girl, I was
So
about to say it. That was exactly what I thought. I had a flashback to Fight Club, and yes, that is exactly what my mind had, and not a good version. Thank you.
not a but y'all, what did y'all think about this whole basically Rhys Montrose is the you, and we find out some other stuff about Rhys Montrose as we see Rhys Montrose. So what did y'all think about this new slash not new slash whatever villain?
Roseanne winning the lottery. That's just that's where
Rose,
I went.
explain that, please.
It ended up being like a whole dream sequence. And it was just like, whatever, this is stupid.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I was like, some people thought it might have been a twin. Some people, like, I didn't care. I just thought it was, I don't know. You're talking about it being Joe, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And his
Yeah, I was like, oh.
dissociative personality
Yeah,
disorder.
I was like, vomit. Like, we've seen this. I don't care. But I also did not enjoy Fight Club, so I may not be the right person to ask.
No, I mean, I'm not.
No,
Like,
we're not
it's
saying,
not even a. I'm not just saying, but I'm saying
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened in Fight Club. You know, that's
Yes.
the quote unquote twist at the end. Oops,
I didn't
second
like the
spoiler.
twist. I didn't care.
Fight Club has been out forever. That's not a spoiler,
Right,
Marcie. You're good.
but so I think so that's the first thing I thought of. But then I thought, Dana, I was with you. By the time we got there, I was like, they should have told me this 4 episodes ago, because I don't care. I mean, honestly, I don't care. And I'm gonna be even more honest and say I might be willing to watch Rhys in season 5 before I watch that creepy looking Joe.
Oh my gosh. We are really back. I wanted to weigh in on that about the hair, no hair. I love a guy when he can when he can pull off the beard and he has it looking decent. I just think that he is very hairy in general, which is a turnoff for me. But it wasn't just the beard for me. It was the beard would have been fine, but he had the beard and he had curly mullet looking hair, and maybe not a full mullet, but he had a lot of curly hair going on with the beard at points.
It was too much.
And
So
it was too much.
again, it wasn't
I like
even
the beard, but it was
it
yeah.
wasn't even just the beard, no beard. It was the weirdness of his face in those last scenes. Like it was a silent cry for help. And at least by this point, had the Rhys that we had seen had been able to look shady without looking disturbed, if that makes any sense. And the Joe in that last scene with the tilted head and the weird eyes, that Joe was crying out for help, okay? And that Joe, I don't want to watch for another 10 episodes. But the Rhys side of Joe, if somebody wanted to show me that for a few episodes, I might actually care again. But it wasn't that beard, no beard. It was the crazy eyes and the weirdness of his demeanor that looked like he was saying, "Somebody come help me." And at that point, I'm not gonna watch a whole 10 episodes of Joe needing help.
Mm.
I just don't care that much
No,
about Joe at this point, I think is the problem.
I'm gonna say part of that is bad camera, whatever. The way that they had the camera focusing on him in a couple of the part, I'm not saying all of it, Marcie. I agree with you. He just looks freaky, weird, creeped out, slash help me, slash I am in the probably in the middle of a break, but I'm trying not to show that I am. Now that I figured out I can have these dissociative breaks. But big part of it too was the camera thing. Because even with the hand on the knee, with the camera being so close, that does not look like, hey, we're partners in crime, which I think that was kind of what they were trying to say. It looks like, hey, I'm creepy and I'm about to
I
with
need
this
help.
hand on your knee. Just looked weird. I'm just,
It did. And
the camera angles made that even weirder than what I think they wanted it to be.
reporter guy nodding and winking for no darn reason. But the point of my story is I would rather find out more about Rhys than another single thing about Joe. He has picked his lot in life. Let him live it.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you want it like instead of because in the last bit, Joe is looking in the window and he's seeing Rhys as a reflection. Would it be the same thing? We'll have that Fight Club kind of thing where we'll see Rhys in place of Joe at
Yes,
times.
I would like to see the part of him that has embraced his inner killer. I didn't enjoy the conflict with Joe. I was tired. Either you're gonna be a killer or you're not. Either you're gonna go with it or you don't. But I don't have time for you to vacillate every other I should, I shouldn't. But if Rhys is like, let's go, then I want to see what Rhys is doing with his life. Because Joe is getting on my nerves. So yes, I would like to see how he's embraced his inner killer through Rhys and how that plays out in this life he's trying to live with as little Joe as possible. Sure. Give me that season. I'll take it.
I think that's kind of where it's gonna end up going.
Mm.
I think it's gonna
And maybe I'll
be,
be back.
yeah, I think that might be where it's gonna go, or at least because to me, it at the end, especially when he's like, "You got to go to jail, Nadia, for all of this." I think he's starting to embrace it at that point. He's like, "Okay, I'm a killer, and then I'm hanging out with this killer who killed all these kids with her dad's company, and now she gets the company because I've killed her dad." And it's just like now they're on top of the world. They're bazillionaires who got away with killing, and maybe they're just going to live their lives. I don't know exactly, obviously, it's going to go. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but this is supposed to be loosely based on Caroline Kepnes's book, For You and Only You, which is book 4, but it's nothing like book 4. So these writers are going straight off script. And to see what y'all think about that, I was thinking about the murder mystery part of it. Marcie wasn't impressed. But I'm not saying that I was impressed or not impressed, but I was also kind of thinking maybe the writers were going this way because of the popularity of these movies, of Agatha Christie novels, the Knives Out, the Glass
Right.
Onion.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
they did it better. And I feel like we should just stick to one thing that works. And I don't think that the writers found any one thing that worked this season. So I feel like they should probably go back to creating their own lanes because picking and choosing from other people's lanes is just a sad form of mockery here.
What did everybody else think about the murder mystery portion?
So I'll kind of just reiterate what I've been saying. I didn't care. So here's the thing, and I love all those movies, Knives Out, what the Menu. I love all those kind of things. And again, it goes back to like what I said about Kanye. Had I gone into this not already having any idea what we were going to be doing, because this is something that I've already established, I know what it's going to be, maybe. But because you took something that I look forward to because I already know about it and tried to give me something else, it didn't work. And I think Marcie made a great point in that they tried to give me a whole bunch of something else. You didn't take just Joe and go, let's add murder mystery. It was like, Joe, let's add murder mystery and all these other little things that are not classic Joe stuff. So I didn't like it. And in terms of like season 5, I didn't like season 4 enough to not even care. I don't even want to spend my time trying to think what they're going to do for season 5, because they're not going to call me and ask me anyway. So I'm just going to let it come out and then decide if I want to see it. Like in my mind, I'm like, we could get it back, maybe. But I don't even want to think about how they can do this, because I'm not going to waste my time trying to come up with ideas for them that they're not going to listen to anyway. I'll just wait and see what it's going to be. So again, there are other movies, like Marcie said, they've done it better. I feel like it's like when companies, I think Gap did this, try to change their logo when nothing was wrong with the old one. It's like, was it necessary? And that's what they did. Were they worried that people wouldn't be interested anymore unless they were like, hey, let's go with some of what the new people are doing, And I just felt like it lost me. But I also feel like for a show to have gone on this long, it's pretty typical that we all are going to have a season where it's going to lose us. So that's not unusual. I felt that way about Lost. I felt, there's always been some seasons where I'm just like, whatever. So, but I think with the 5th season, if they do it, they have opportunity to redeem themselves. And so I'll be interested to see what happens when and if it comes out.
Staci, what did you think about that murder mystery plot going on?
Well, I mean, I see what they were trying to do, because they might have been thinking we're tired of watching Joe stalk women and still stalking them, and maybe they think, oh, it's a good break. But again, I have to agree with Marcie and Jada. It's like, that's not your lane. That was never the lane that you were supposed to be in, and you're not doing it well. I mean, it just didn't keep my interest. I mean, at one point, if it was shorter, maybe, but it just was so long in it that after a while I did lose interest. Like, who is the killer? I don't know. Just have them balled out. And then when I find out who actually was the killer, it was like, so we went through all this to find out that Rhys was not even a real person to begin with, which pissed me off. So I don't know. It just was, even once the parts of it that they kind of got right, in the end, they just made a bigger disappointment in the end. And so I really was not impressed with it. They didn't have to drone it out. Maybe it would have worked if it was shorter season, maybe. But they dragged it out for what? How many episodes before we find out who Rhys really was?
That's episode 8.
It was 8 episodes, and it was 10 long episodes for the whole season. So it was 2 more after that.
So it's like, if we found out Rhys was really a figment, was it episode 8 or episode 7 or 8?
It was at the end of episode 7, but really the episode 8 is when we really find out exactly.
And it's like, we took this long for us. It was just so long and drawn out. If it was shorter, maybe. Because once we realized who Rhys was, and then it was just a psychological, whatever the hell was going on, social break that he had. I don't know. It's just, to me, they just dragged it out for too long, that it lost my interest. And it didn't have it to be much to begin with, but the only thing that helped was it broke it down in that first part 1 and part 2, season 1, 1.5 or something, however they broke it down. And that's the only thing that kept me kind of going, was like, okay, it's dragging on. All right, it stopped. When it picks up, maybe it's going to pick up again. And then it's like, I was disappointed again for the second time around. I don't know, but I do think they split the season really did help, because if I had to watch the whole thing, I wouldn't have finished it at all. I was not impressed at all with the mystery thing. It's like you could have done better. And hopefully, like you said, like Dana says, that if you've watched something for several seasons, it's going to be a season where it's going to be off. But hopefully they can regain it in season 5. But I do think season 5 needs to be the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they tried to like go with it, like to have a big bang, and it just landed with a thud. It was so too much and too all over the place. It was too much.
It was too.
It
They
was
were
too
like
much.
trying to go too much into too many different directions.
Yeah.
Pick a direction.
It was like, we want to be a British drama. We want to be the next Glass Onion. We want to talk about mental disorders. We want to make social commentary on rich people. We want to give Joe a heart. We want to no, ma'am, not all they wanted. This is not the Wiz. It was terrible. Oh.
Well, I'm gonna be the voice of dissent, but with a caveat, with Marcie's caveat. I like the little murder mystery kind of thing going on, but just like Johnathan Moore does not belong with rich people, Johnathan Moore / Joe Goldberg doesn't belong with rich people. A murder mystery does not belong in the U series. I like that kind of weirdness happening, the who done it. I like that element, but I don't like it here because it's too much. And it's also not what we know Joe to be. So I was a little bit disillusioned, I guess is the word, with the whole thing. So before we get into Goodreads ratings, which I kind of feel like I know what everybody's going to rate this, but I do want to give everybody a chance just to talk about what they thought about Marianne, if they had any thoughts about Marianne. Because I think in season 3, when we meet her, we were a little bit more excited than I think we are at this point. But then I think too, the whole show has disappointed all of us. So anybody want to talk about feelings about where the Marianne character went, where we thought it was going to go, what we thought about that character, and all of that?
I'll go because I'm going to make this quick. Since I didn't watch the stuff where she was really involved, the only part I actually physically saw during the show was when Joe saw her and she was scared and had a knife. The only real thoughts I had was at that point anyway. So I know some stuff took later, but if I only watched 1 through 7, I thought, wow, that was wasted. He came here for nothing. And then I didn't like her hair. Those were the only thoughts. Like when they initially were going to continue her, this is not where I saw it going. And so with episodes 1 through 7, I was like, are we ever going to get back to Marianne? Like, is it just over? He's just found somebody to replace her. Now the love of his life doesn't matter anymore. He just moved on. But again, I know other stuff happened at the end, but since I didn't really watch it, I don't really have anything to say other than that. Thanks.
All right. Staci, your mic is open.
Oh, I forgot it was open. Marianne, I mean, she was an afterthought. I know it was important to see how he broke down and how she was that time, that stopwatch, like, okay, we got to get this done by. She was the bomb, the ticking time bomb that was like, if he didn't get back, he was going to die. And I know she was a part of kind of tying some of those things together with his student and everything. So I see that how important her role was, but we saw her only for like glimpses until that one episode where we figure out that he's had her there for the entire time. And I just felt bad for her. I really, it's like, girl can't get a break, can she? Gets on drugs with her ex-husband, and then she tangles up with Joe. And now she's kidnapped, live in a glass cage, and with a crazy guy who just blanks out while he's talking to her. I can't say I didn't care for the character because I liked the character from the previous season. So I can't say I didn't care about what happened to her, but at the same time, they had numbed me up to the point that at this point, it's like, I hope she escapes, but if she doesn't, well, her kid has her grandmama. So
Right?
So she will be totally alone.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I think along those same lines, I think by the time she showed up, and because I only saw episode 10, so everything had already happened and it was in replay mode. But I think by the time she showed up, I was already done. I'm glad that she has made her way out. I do think it was just part of the too much. I do think by the time it got to that point, everything was already just, oh, it was just too much. I mean, I know they were supposed to help reveal this other side of him and yada yada, but I think that by then I didn't care. And so while I'm glad that she's alive, I don't know that I had given much thought as to whether she had made it out the first time he saw her anyway. So, I mean, it was a 50-50 chance in my mind she was dead all the time. So, like Staci, it is what it is. But I was no longer invested in her as a character by the time they brought her back. I didn't care anymore.
Yeah. So it's funny because she is, I guess, out of all of his loves, she is the one that got away, right?
I mean, yes, but she's got to keep a low
But it's
profile
like
for the rest of her life because he
exactly.
doesn't know
He gonna
that
kill
she's,
her in season 5. She ain't
you
getting
know,
Oh
out.
she can't.
She gonna kill him. Something gonna happen. But
But I
again,
mean, it's like now, don't ever go to London. I mean,
right.
she has to watch herself for the rest of her life. And the thing, okay, one of the things I did not like was when she gets found by the student and she was telling the student, no, you can't, because if you tell the police, he's going to get away. I was like, then let him get away. Get out the cave. I'm sorry. Get out the cave.
Yeah,
right, like
Get out
again,
the
she was
cave.
also on team too much, doing too much, trying
I was
to
like,
trying to
well,
trap him. Girl, leave, live,
just
get
if
out.
then he gets whatever. I would rather be out the cage and work it from that angle than keep me in here and we'll figure out a plan to get him caught. No, no, he's killed. And how many people he killed? His wife. You know he killed your husband. You know well, who else? And y'all think
yeah.
y'all are Scooby Doo in the team that's gonna catch this criminal? No.
And not only that, but now you depending on this little high school girl to give you drugs and wake you up on the other
And I
side.
know
Girl,
she's in
it's too
college.
much. Oh,
I
girl.
know she's in college, but I do think the same thing. It's like this little girl keep thinking they in high school, and maybe it's because of my age. But I was like, I think in high school. Every time I thought of her, she's in high school. It's like, no, she's in college. She in college.
But even then, I'm not trusting you with a
I'm not
hypodermic
trusting
needle
you
and
to
a
get me
suspect
out of this
plan that
cage.
involves me
It's
being half dead. I was like, girl, please.
call the
Right.
police. Call 999. Whatever it
You're
is.
Call
right.
whoever, because
Oh,
I ain't
no,
gonna be
no,
here when
no.
they get here. I ain't even gonna be here. Don't look for me. It was too much. It by that point it was really too much. It was really, really too much. And I understand, and maybe in season 5 they'll give her get back chance. But also I don't know if I'm gonna care. But maybe they will and I will. But for now, I was like, well, I'm glad you made it out.
Mm.
But if she had died because she took them drugs from that stupid little girl, I would not have felt sad. I'd have been like, well, at least he didn't kill you.
So, because we think this is all much too much, let's talk about ratings. And I think we all know why we rated it, whatever we rating it, but we're gonna go back and go over the Goodreads ratings again. Again, even though this is a TV show that we're talking about, it is based on a book series, and this is a book podcast. So we use the Goodreads rating to rate everything that we review. And 1 star is we didn't like it. 2 stars, it was okay. 3 stars, we did like it. 4 stars, we really liked it. And 5 stars, it was amazing. So, Staci, your mic is open again.
At least I've been quiet.
What's your rating?
Okay, now because this is part of a series on its multiple seasons, I'm not going to give it a 1. I'll give it a 2 because at least I like the other seasons, and I would just give it a 2. That's the only reason is because it was standing alone by this season. I'm not even saying how good it would be standing off because I had expected a whole something different, and I got something totally different than I was expecting or wanting. So I'm gonna just leave mine as a flat 2.
Okay. Marcie, what about you? What's your rating?
Well, I'm only going on this season because this podcast is specific to season 4. And I went in with no expectations and I still give it a 1 because it didn't deliver anything. I didn't care at all.
Wow.
At all. I was not invested
Oh,
in a single character from the beginning to the end. And all I could think at the end was, I am glad that that is over.
all right. Wow. Definitive. Hey, Dana, what about you?
We kind of in our movie review had this. I'll say I've seen worse, right? So in our movie review, seen worse is usually like a 1. And so in this case, excuse me, the worst is a 1. I'm sorry. Seen worse is a 2. So for me, I would say 2. Like it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It could have been worse, right? So I would say around a 2. I don't know 100% why. In
Oh
terms
my
of the
gosh. Okay.
redeeming factors. I mean, part of this was filmed during COVID. Uh,
So
Oh
now you
Lord.
know it's bad when you make me the heartless one and you over there trying to find some redeeming character qualities that can make that 2 sound reasonable when you know you want a 1 in your heart just like me. But okay.
I mean, I
Oh my. Okay.
I'm sorry. I mean, I would give it, yeah, I would give it, I feel comfortable as a 2. I didn't hate absolutely everything that was going on. I just don't know what I didn't hate. 2. Thank you.
That was the most entertaining rating I've ever heard in my. So my rating, I'm usually soft on these things, y'all. So I am going to give it a 2 because of the fact that, like everybody else said, there wasn't anything that I totally hated about this. And there were parts of it that I actually liked, but I just didn't like them in this show the murder mystery thing. I like that whole where they were trying to go or whatever with that. It was just not for this show. I liked the acting of the actor who played Rhys Montrose, and immediately some things immediately just kind of fell into place with him. And then, of course, I liked episode 8, how that all unfolded. I just feel like episode 8 should have been episode 4. Episode 4 should have been episode 2. And, episode 8 should have been the end. It's just, we didn't need all of that. I mean, some of it didn't belong in this show, some of it wasn't worked fully out, but there wasn't one thing that was just totally, I hate this, except maybe for the rich people and how they were acting, but they were acting kind of true to what the characters would act. So I just didn't like them, which is, I think, what was supposed to happen. We weren't supposed to like them. So when a few of them get killed off, we're like, okay. But that's it, really, as far as my rating for that. I would give it
Yvonne,
a solid 2. Yeah.
I thank you for that. I know why now I can give it that 2. I agree with you. The acting from the actors themselves, I didn't have any problems with that. I thought they acted well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I didn't. I would give them that. It was no fault of the actors to me. That. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marcie, were you going to disagree?
No, I just said okay then. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The actors are doing their parts. I think the actors are doing whatever they're supposed to be doing with what they were given. But I think that actually wraps it up for this particular episode. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure we're going to be here for you season 5 now that we know that there's a season 5. I actually didn't even know that there was that controversy going on between is this going to be the last, is it not? So that was interesting. Maybe that was one of the only interesting things about this. I just want to say thank y'all for coming on and talking about this. Thank you for watching the part that you watched because I know that you all said because of the podcast, you watched maybe a little bit more than you would have watched otherwise. So thank you for sticking in there.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome.
Yay.
All right, our next episode is going to be in the romance area of things. Yes, we're getting back on theme with our podcast, and it will be an interview that I have been looking forward to doing for such a long time. I was so happy to interview Rebecca Weatherspoon about her YA romance, Her Good Side. So stay tuned for that. So that's all for this episode. We've got a new website at nerdyromanticspodcast.com. But don't fear, all of our episodes and their show notes are on our new website. While you're there, please consider donating to our podcast with the donate button at the top right-hand corner or the buy me a coffee button on the show notes for each episode. Your donations go straight to keeping this podcast on the air and keeping all of our episodes out there for you to listen to whenever you want to. If you want to get our show notes in your inbox, please consider signing up for our Nerdy Romantics newsletter. The sign-up form is at the bottom of each page on our new website. Thank you for listening.